It's time to get inside the Giants huddle.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
On Giants.com.
I like it, I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants podcast network.
Let's roll.
Welcome to the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. From game day to everyday, Citizens is made ready for Giants fans with insights, guidance, and solutions. Learn more at citizensbank.com. Welcome to the show. Rapid reaction as the Giants fall to the San Francisco 49ers 30-12 on Thursday Night Football. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champ Amani Toomer to break this one down. And Toomer, one of the big storylines, of course, coming out of this game was all the missed opportunities. I can tell you how many times we're watching this game tonight and we're watching the amount of almost tackles, almost interceptions. Almost was the key word for the night.
Yeah, it was one of those nights where the Niners opened the door and they allowed the Giants an opportunity, a peek into what possibly could have been a monumental on Thursday night, a great win for the Giants, but there was no spark, there was no big play, there was no party starter. Nobody stood up and said, and tried to drag this team along. It seemed like a lot of guys who are playing hard, but there's a difference between playing hard and playing with your hair on fire. And a lot of these, you did not see that playmaking ability on either side of the ball today, which ultimately, to beat a team like this on the road in a short week, you need to have some big plays. They were close in many circumstances in terms of, there was a couple tip balls, a couple errant throws by Brock Purdy that could have turned the tide, unopportune times where there was a penalty, missed tackles. All this stuff is going to contribute to a loss, especially against one of a team that was one game away from going to the Super Bowl last year in the San Francisco 49ers.
Right. Well, and you talk about the pressure, too. I mean, we did see credit to this defense because they did apply much more pressure than we have seen the last couple of weeks. I mean, Brock Purdy was, under pressure for quite a bit of it. The Giants blitzed Brock Purdy on 33 of 39 of his dropbacks. That's almost 85%, which is the highest blitz rate in a game that they've done ever. That's a lot. But despite that, Purdy was still kind of able to get things done downfield. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau did get a sack, the first sack for the Giants of this season. We also saw another sack between Leonard Williams and DJ Davidson as well. So they were able to get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to stifle it. It wasn't enough. I mean, this is a 49ers team that we've been talking about all week is a slippery offense, and slippery just kind of seemed like the word to describe them. Absolutely.
It's trying to get Deebo Samuels on the ground. That was a problem. He had the ball. We were in the Giants defense was in position, missing tackles. Christian McCaffrey, the same thing. Backbreaking couple of first downs on third and extremely long. The one that comes to mind more specifically it was 3rd and 15. Brock Purdy throws a -2 yard screen pass to Deebo Samuels. He doesn't get touched until 20 yards. And then when he does get touched, he drags 3 defenders another 5 yards and makes it a clean 30. So those are the types of plays, especially on third down. If you want to break a defense's back, you get that defense in a situation where they think they can attack, and you counterpunch with a quick screen and get 30 yards on it. And that's the problem when you try to go after the quarterback too much. You create an opportunity where on the outside you're susceptible because you commit an extra rusher or two to try to run after the quarterback, but if the quarterback gets the ball to his hand, you just have 2 people out of position, and you really put a lot of pressure on your back end. So I think that's what played itself out today. It's great to be an aggressive defense. I love what Wink Martindale does, but he has to figure out that less is more when it comes to blitzing. Blitz in very select opportunities, because if somebody knows you're blitzing and they start hitting you with these blitz beaters like the Niners did all night, it really it makes your defenders make tackles in the open field. And that's some of the hardest things to do, is to bring a guy down with space where he can create separation and try to throw all these moves at you. It's just a tough situation for a defender to do, and it's just hard to.
It's a hard position to put yourself
it's
in, right?
very you're making it a lot harder. You're trying to solve one problem and you're creating two,
right?
And that's kind of what it played out to me today.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New you moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Well, and it's also, too, I mean, you mentioned the third downs, too. There was a drive in the second quarter where San Francisco is going down the field, and they convert on a 3rd and 13, a 3rd and 15, and a 3rd and 5, all on the same drive, which led to a touchdown. And the fact that the Giants are letting this happen, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, a lot of this too, and a lot of this coming from the YAC. I mean, you look at Brock Purdy and the way he played, no disrespect to Brock Purdy. This man's never lost a regular season game, but you watch the way he played. It didn't look like he threw for 310 yards, but that's because 215 of those came after the catch. They were YAC yardage.
They were YAC yardage, and when you can possess the ball for 39 minutes and 10 seconds, like the 49ers did tonight at home, and you hold the Giants to 20 minutes and 50 seconds, making them go 3 of 12 on third down, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to win a lot of games when you're rushing for 144 yards. You have 414 yards total offense. You rush for 141 yards, and you hold the Giants to 29 yards rushing. It's just going to be a lopsided ordeal, and the defense is going to break down towards the end because that's just a lot of extra snaps that you're putting your defense on the field for.
Right, and a lot of injuries to watch as well. Tay Banks left with an injury to his arm. A couple defenders, and of course Saquon Barkley not playing in this game tonight. That was significant for the Giants too. Saquon was out with the ankle sprain. The offensive line, we had Andrew Thomas out with a hamstring, a couple shakeups. Ben Bredesen still dealing with a concussion. The fact that Saquon was out, though, it was as though San Francisco had no fear of a run game from the Giants. They almost dared them to pass the ball. They, didn't even try. Giants had 29 rushing yards on the night without Saquon Barkley. Yeah,
this should have been a Darren Waller game, because what was happening was they were not bringing an extra defender. They were keeping their defense solid on the back, because they realized that if they can just slow Daniel Jones's reads down with the deep coverage, they can get home with just 4 with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa played havoc today, and Darren Waller is that easy outlet over the middle of the football that should have been a big component of this game. I don't know if he's all the way back from his hamstring injury. I've seen him dominate when he was with the Raiders much more than he did tonight, and I think what we were expecting was the Raiders' dominant pass-catching tight end, and what we got was a guy that didn't seem to have explosion that we would expect. Now, he's probably getting used to his new surroundings and all that. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying tonight needed to be a night where he was the marquee guy. The Giants won tonight. It would have been because of Darren Waller, and that just did not happen tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he was targeted 7 times, had 3 receptions for 20 yards. Darren Waller was in the mix. I mean, perhaps one of the biggest plays he had was a PI call that brought the ball into range for Matt Breida to run in for the touchdown, the lone touchdown that the Giants scored, an 8-yard run in the third quarter. They went for 2 after that. They did not convert.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
It was just a tough play. Another guy that we were expecting to see more from, I think, was Jalen Hyatt, who wasn't targeted at all. Daniel Jones talked about it after the game. He said, listen, like, he's a great player, a dynamic player. Of course, we want to get all these guys involved, but we're trying to give what the defense gave us, and there was only so much that they could do, and that they just weren't able to send it down the field. And I think we were coming off of that Arizona game a little optimistic about, some of these chunk plays could be a factor in this game. And they weren't.
When I think of play calling, when I think of situations, on offense, I always think of the player and then the play.
Right.
So you have to find ways. I don't know why he's not more highlighted, because he is one of the most explosive players. But I anticipate they're going to, work him in more and more and see what he can do in terms of, switching positions so that you can match him up against the players that you want to match him up. Sometimes get him on a safety, get him on a linebacker through different alignments. But he is a rookie, and there's a lot going on in rookies' heads. I was a rookie. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was a hard transition. So I'm selfishly, as a Giant, to analyze the Giants, I want him to be more involved, but I know that it's a tough process, and it's one of the hardest positions to transition, especially from the offense that he came from in Tennessee. So I know it's a maturation process, but we ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
we need some deep down the field cuts. We need the entire field opened up, because remember what happened last week. After the second half, they threw they had a long
38-yard or 58-yard play.
A 58-yard play, and then all of a sudden everything started opening up, and that's
Right.
kind of what they expect of him. But man, I don't know how much longer we can wait, but we got to see him in the lineup a lot more, making a lot more deep plays.
Well, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, because the Giants are not on the field again until October 2nd, Monday Night Football. That is week 4. Even though it feels like forever away. It's October, what? But you know what? That's the next game. The Seahawks coming to town, Monday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. This will give this team some good time to get rested up, get healthy before they take on Seattle. And Geno Smith and that squad, we'll be looking forward to it. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest on Giants.com, on all the Giants podcasts, and all of the content for the team. But for Amani, Toomer, I'm Madelyn, Burke, wrapping up the 30-12 loss on Thursday Night Football to the San Francisco 49ers. The Huddle, of course, is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. From game day to every day, Citizens is made ready for Giants fans with insights, guidance, and solutions. Learn more at citizensbank.com.